I hope this video proves to be an effective way of communicating with you about what's going on at the Scheinman Institute on conflict resolution. One of the key tasks and missions of the Scheinman Institute is our teaching. We teach both undergraduate and graduate students on campus, and we also participate in non-credit fee-for-service teaching of working adults, professionals through our professional development programs. Let me talk a bit about each of those teaching endeavors, and then I'll go on to talk a bit about some of the research projects we're doing at the Institute. With regard to campus teaching, we have a whole array of conflict resolution courses in labor relations that deal with conflict, but also courses which explicitly are about arbitration or mediation or conflict management systems. That Cornell University, as you may have heard, is moving ahead in the face of the pandemic. They've had to adjust their approach, and they've decided to start this coming semester on schedule on Monday, January 24th, but to shift towards an online teaching for the first 2 weeks of the semester, and then move to in-person learning. Cornell, as you know, throughout the pandemic, has been determined to keep the campus open. It does so through an array of testing and other measures, and they feel, I think appropriately so, that the safest thing to do in the face of the Omicron surge is to delay the start of in-person teaching, but to move into that mode shortly thereafter. With regard to professional development programs, we've also adjusted our teaching due to the pandemic. And there, many of our courses are now being offered virtually this coming semester. We had hoped to return to in-person learning, but for many of our courses, they're going to be offered virtually. Synchronous virtual, that means kind of live, not asynchronous and all. And we do so in a variety of areas in labor relations, employee relations, conflict management system, HR programs as well. And I assure you, even though those courses are virtual, they're extremely high quality and they're also highly interactive. Our faculty, Susan Brecker, Dan McCrae, Sally Klingel, Katrina, Lisa Census, Judy Young, and others are really good at teaching in a highly interactive mode, whether they're doing so virtually or in person. So again, if you're interested in continuing your education or professional development, or you have people in your organization who want to do so, check us out. You can find a complete listing of those course offerings and dates and all on our website. Another thing I'd like to chat with you a little bit about is some of our ongoing research projects. We have many research projects being completed by our faculty, but I'm going to focus on 2 of those projects because I think both of these will be of particular interest to you. One is that with the cooperation of the National Academy of Arbitrators, the NAA, we're in the final phase of completing a survey of all National Academy members in both the US and Canada, about how their arbitration and mediation practice is evolving. We're asking questions about the extent to which arbitrators or mediators are shifting from more traditional labor relations forums and conflicts into employment arbitration or mediation in the non-union sector. As well, we're looking at and we're learning from the responses the degree to which arbitrators and mediators are moving away from workplace arbitration and mediation and increasingly engaged in commercial arbitration and mediation, or even other kinds of disputes outside the workplace and all. And then a third critical set of questions and issues we're looking at through this survey is analyzing how arbitrators and mediators have adjusted their work, making use of virtual technology, conducting hearings or mediations virtually, and not only what they've done in the past, but what they expect to be doing in the future. We're asking people to provide us with kind of their forecast about whether they think the virtual hearings, virtual mediations, and are going to continue, and possibly for how long, and under what circumstances will they continue. We're also asking people to kind of evaluate how they think things have gone when they've made use of virtual technologies, whether they conduct hearings or mediations. The second project I'd like to mention is one that is looking at how public agencies that are involved in conflict resolution are evolving their work, evolving how they go about helping the parties who might be engaged in conflict. This is particularly looking at workplace conflicts. I might add that this project has a similar group of researchers as the first one. I should have mentioned that when I first described the NAA project, and our Dean Alex Colvin is involved, Ariel Avgar, myself, Katrina Nobles. With regard to the survey, let me just add that Mark Goff of Penn State, our former student, has been participating with us. With regard to this study of how the public agencies are evolving their work, again, that's the US team, and we have teams in 5 other English-speaking countries. So we have research teams in Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Britain, and Ireland. This project's actually being co-directed by us and Bill Roche and Paul Teague and Janet Curry, who work at universities in Ireland. So with regard to this project that's looked at public agencies, we're looking at questions such as how those agencies have adjusted their work given the expansion of non-union employment. In nearly all those countries, non-union employment has grown dramatically. It certainly has grown in the United States, as you know. And so there's a critical question: are agencies such as the FMCS or even the PERB-like agencies or other entities changing what they do as conflicts are surfacing in the non-union sector? So that's a critical question, not only in the United States, where the growth of the non-union sector is so large, but in those other 5 countries, there's also been a substantial shift from unionized employment into non-union. So that's a critical challenge that those public agencies face. In addition, another key question we're asking, and here there's a lot of substantial differences across the countries, and that is the degree to which there's coordination or integration across various agencies and how they address conflict, or even coordination in the extent that there may be an overarching agency that handles a variety of different sorts or sources of conflict. As you're probably aware, in the United States, the way we address conflicts at the workplace is highly fragmented. There are public providers, public agencies, a critical one being the FMCS. In the public sector, there's PERB, like public relations boards in various states, but we also have private actors, private arbitrators, many of you, private arbitrators and mediators who are involved heavily in dispute resolution. In other countries, they've entered the recent period with more coordinated systems, but they also, like we do, face challenges regarding the extent to which they want to further coordinate in the face of many pressures that are leading to fragmentation in their systems. You know, a critical question is, do you want to encourage private conflict resolution, as employment arbitration has done in the United States, private resolution of conflicts? Or do you want those conflicts in one way or another to be channeled in one or another public agency? For the public agencies, we're also looking at all these 6 countries and how virtual technology, somewhat similar to the question we're raising in our National Academy survey, we're asking the public agencies how they've adjusted their work given the pandemic and the shift towards virtual technologies. What have they done in the recent period? And also, what do they expect is likely to happen in the next several years when the pandemic hopefully fades? Are we going to see a continuing use of virtual technologies to help settle conflicts? Or is it under only certain circumstances and not others that those technologies will be used? So as you can see, just even with those two projects, we have an ambitious agenda. Results will be forthcoming from both of those projects over the next several months. You'll be hearing about them on our website. We'll also be producing working papers and eventually academic publications that summarize our findings. I look forward to communicating with you further. I'd also appreciate any feedback you might want to provide on this video way of communicating as an alternative to the director's column I've regularly been providing in our monthly newsletter. Take care, and I look forward to interacting with you further.